Okay, guys. This is a Sunny V2 video called "Who Has the Worst YouTuber Apology?" Now, I do want to say something, and it's something weird online about, like, we never let these people just kind of rest. People make mistakes in general, and then they apologize, and then all we do is continuously talk about the mistakes that they made and never leave room for growth. I'll be honest with you, okay? Is that I think I've contributed to that as well. I will say that, I don't, who likes self-growth, right? I probably could have been a little less, I could have probably focused a little less on only JS's mistakes. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. You know what I mean? Everybody gets room to breathe and grow. Okay. And we all hopefully have meaningful, positive change in our lives. But it's really interesting that we do this. And I know this is just like an entertainment video, but like, I think that it is a greater issue, not necessarily with this video here, but, where people will think that the person who made the mistake is still that person after they apologize. Like, yeah, there are performative apologies for sure. Like, let's keep that in mind. But sometimes there's not. Sometimes people do make growth and change. I think a lot of people do in general. And we always live that like as if they are that bad person. Like, there's no way they ever could have grown. It's like this desperation to want to hate everybody. I think it's a terminal illness, okay? It's weird. And it's like super obsessive in my opinion. So let's get this going.
We're going to rank YouTube's 10 worst apology videos from bad to downright terrible. So let's begin by looking at RiceGum, whose trash apology went by the name of "This Dude Calls Me Out for Mystery Unboxing." RiceGum's apology referred to a different video from 3 days prior, titled "How I Got AirPods for $4," in which he promoted a mystery box.
Well, how did he do it? Oh, probably a fake mystery box, right?
Gambling site, while making it sound as though the website was an easy way to make money. Because RiceGum had a young audience, he'd be called out by H3H3 Productions and PewDiePie for promoting gambling to children, with RiceGum's response coming in the days following these call-out videos. His apology began on terrible footing, as instead of admitting any kind of wrongdoing, he'd state that he was justified in doing the video as they paid him more than $100,000 before going on
base, dude. As an apology, that's just doubling down at that point.
To state that he wasn't.
Hey, it was okay because I got money for it. Okay, fair enough.
The first YouTuber to promote the website. RiceGum then concluded the video by giving out multiple Amazon gift card codes.
There's nothing I can really do but say sorry and give you these Amazon gift cards, so I'm sorry.
Only each code had already expired by the time the video went live. Beginning your apology by...
How do you know that, though?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Only each code had already expired by the time the video...
There's a lot of scamming fans. Like, is that true? Did they confirm that? Or did that... Because I imagine the second that went up, somebody's going to watch that and like instantly steal those codes. There's probably like 100 million, probably like a million people, I don't know, watched it. So 4 codes is kind of like a big nothing anyway. It's kind of dumb. Do we know for a fact that they expired, or was that like a speculation and people just ran with it? Because sometimes when somebody gets canceled, there's no more charitability. Like, somebody can hit them in the head with a ton of bricks and people are like, it's their fault, they asked for it. That's how it kind of works. So
went live. Beginning your apology by bragging about money before going on to offer your audience some old expired gift cards definitely makes for a pretty poor apology. However, the video was short and sweet. It felt as though it was consistent with RiceGum's personality, and the argument about other YouTubers promoting the site before him was actually a pretty reasonable point. RiceGum was also smart enough to keep his cool throughout the whole video, which Dawson wasn't able to do, whose incredibly volatile state led to YouTube's 9th worst apology video. Taking accountability began with Shane stating that emotionally chucking on a webcam and apologizing was stupid and childish.
And that is stupid. That is something that a child does, not something that a 31-year-old man does. That's not good.
Although this is exactly what he'd do over the following 20 minutes. Shane was apologizing for the jokes he'd made during his 10-year YouTube career, and although he'd state that he was simply laying out his feelings, the whole video used manipulative language and felt as though it was coming from a point of total desperation.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry to anybody that saw that. It's something that I shouldn't even be able to get out of. I should lose everything for that.
Shane used all...
That's dumb to say that. Like, I know he made some edgy stuff and everybody still complains because I'm like, bro, like, he can still move on from it. Like, people need to chill out and stop coping. And people still cry about like me saying that. But like, don't tell people that you can't move on from. Why? That's pandering to me. Like, what he did was he made a lot of edgy jokes, right? That were acceptable at the time that he made them. You can cope as much as you want. He's obviously not a fucking predator. He just made a lot of edgy jokes. And by saying, I shouldn't be able to move on from that, you're just telling your audience to give you the feedback that you shouldn't be able to move on. Like, I would just be like, yeah, it was shitty, and I'm sorry, but that was socially acceptable back then, so stop pretending that I'm like a fucking horrible person. That's what I would have said.
All the classic buzz phrases such as, I will educate myself, and I will do better, and I don't know who that person is anymore. And
well, I would have been like, yeah, I changed. I stopped making that content, bro, so chill out, you know?
Therefore, the whole video just feels like a pathetic template to get hate off his back, as opposed to a personalized video with his own terminology to apply to his specific situation.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but from what it sounds like here to me is more that like he, obviously he changed the way he made the content before this anyway. So he probably did actually change. I mean, that's a pretty hot take, right? He stopped making that content. He probably changed. But some of the language is like too pandering, because that's what happens. People can get very toxic when it comes to these like these things. So it sounds like a little bit pandering. Like, oh guys, it was the worst thing. I am literally Hitler. It's like, okay, it's not that deep, bro. You know, I'm just saying.
The hypocrisy continued into the end of the video when Shane stated that being defensive was a poor way to make changes.
I'm going to go on the defensive, and that's not a good way to live, and it's not a good way to grow.
Yet he seemed completely unaware that his entire video was defensive in response to the drama that he had found himself in. However, at least Shane didn't insinuate that his audience was stupid, as when the Fine brothers uploaded their awful apology and accidentally insult.
They are not fine, by the way. I mean, they're not ugly. They're average. Why would they name themselves the Fine Brothers?
The entirety of YouTube. The Fine brothers had pioneered the reaction genre on YouTube with their Kids React series, and will post a video in early 2016 simply titled React World, in which it sounded like the Fine brothers were trying to copyright any kind of YouTube reaction video. As a result of their poorly crafted concept, they'd receive hate from every corner of the internet, prompting what we're now calling the 8th worst apology in YouTube history. The apology began with the Fine brothers admitting that their video was worded poorly, and that they never planned on trying to copyright YouTube's reaction genre.
First and foremost, we're sorry for confusing people by using terminology like our React format. We were never trying to say that every video where someone reacts to something else is something we would try to control.
However, despite stating this, the two would then go on to explain that they had taken down other reaction content in the past, while continuing to imply that the audience was stupid for being unable to comprehend the concept laid out in their initial React World video.
Just because we have—
They're probably right, though. Their audience probably is stupid. They watch React videos, you know? Like, anybody who watches reactions is fucking stupid.
or might get trademarks doesn't mean we're going to run around and start taking down videos.
We're sorry that you're too stupid to understand how this works is basically the sum of this apology in one sentence. So yeah, classic arrogant non-apology. At the end of the day, the Fine brothers got off lightly, as their initial mistake wasn't all that big of a deal. However, the same couldn't be said for Travis Scott, who posted the 7th worst apology after 10 people died at his Astro World concert.
Yeah, and he put that filter over it. That shit was nuts.
Happened in November 2021. Despite everybody in the crowd chanting to stop the show, Travis Scott continued, which ultimately resulted in the 10
Well, in his defense, I don't think that he knew people wanted to stop the show. And I know you're like, well, they were chanting. It's like, yeah, but you can't necessarily hear them. So I'm just saying, I doubt that he like knew what was going on in any active sense. It was definitely overburdened. There was people like breaking. I remember in the beginning, there's people that were just like breaking in to the facility and everything. Like they were walking past the security gates. They couldn't even, like, it was a mess. It was terrible. It was like he needed to spend more money on that, obviously. So
fatalities alongside 500 other injuries. Damn. As the news of the tragedy began to go viral, Travis was planning his apology and would take to Instagram with somewhat of an unconventional approach. He was seemingly trying to avoid having his face clickbaited by the media, and therefore recorded a short video in black and white under bad lighting from a bad angle, with his eyes closed and his hand covering his face for the—
You think that he was trying to not get clickbaited from the media? What? What does that mean? What?
Conventional approach. He was seemingly trying to avoid having his face clickbaited by the media.
What? What does that mean? What does that? I don't understand how that, because he made a weird angle, you think that he wouldn't be able to get clickbaited by the media? It doesn't read like that at all. It reads like he was making a lazy apology on Instagram, and he didn't want to put a whole lot of effort into it. But okay,
and therefore recorded a short video in black and white under bad lighting from a bad angle, with his eyes closed and his hand covering his face for the majority of the video. This was certainly a 200 IQ play. However, it also—
I think it was like, oh man, I'm so sad, and then the hand on the head was more of just trying to be like communicating that, even though I don't know how much I believe it. I don't know how much I actually believe he cares, but I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Extremely terrible, unpleasant viewing experience, and resulted in comments such as, Travis Scott is clearly much more focused on his headache than his apology, as well as he gave his forehead more respect than the people who died of a horrible, painful death as a direct consequence of his inaction. The words he used in the video weren't much better either, because as highlighted by this comment, his apology is basically, damn, that's crazy.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. I mean, I'm honestly just devastated. I could never imagine anything like this just happening.
The funniest part is that in his apology, Travis is talking like he wasn't there. It's like the dude just woke up and was like, oh man, people died at Travis Scott's concert. The apology was certainly bizarre. However, it wasn't nearly as strange as the 6th worst apology by Simply Kenna, who became YouTube's first creator to apologize in the form of a poem.
So I just want to say, okay, that right now, if we look at it from severity wise, this guy, people died in the Travis Scott thing, and he's not like, the event was poorly managed and like he didn't stop the show, but that wasn't like he didn't actively try to kill people or anything. But I'm just saying the stakes are higher in this one. What is this person? What did they do? They plagiarized somebody. I'm just saying it seems like a little weird, but I guess it's more focused on the apology. But still, it's like weird, like the scope, like all these are together. This guy copyright struck somebody. This guy plagiarized. This guy led to the deaths of 10 people. Wow, these things, like, they might be in different categories, okay?
The apology came in response to being called out for plagiarism, and seemingly as an overcompensation for trying to be original, Simply Kenna wrote a 3.5-minute poem using nothing but incredibly deep metaphor.
Am I a human? Am I a monster? Or am I something in between?
Now, to Kenna's credit,
I'm a dog, by the way. I'm a fucking dog.
the poem was pretty well written. However, using it to apologize felt like an unbelievably strange move. The whole point of an apology is to be sincere. To write a poem, rehearse it. Those fake facial expressions and background music, babe, that's not sincere. An apology in poetry is me in my rawest form, even though I'm not raw at all, because I rehearse this instead of just talking to you guys naturally. That poem is so corny. Still trying to be aesthetic in an apology video. The video was so bad that Kenna then posted another apology video to say sorry for the first one, and as summarized by this comment, if you have to make an apology video for an apology video, it might be time to take a break from YouTube. However, at least Simply Kenna had the chance to take a break voluntarily, as when T Martin posted his awful apology,
the fuck is T Martin?
The audience stopped watching completely. In the lead up to what we're calling the 5th worst apology in YouTube history, T Martin promoted a website called CSGO Lotto, claiming that he found the site at random and was able to use it to win expensive CSGO.
A lot of gambling stuff. A lot of people gambling
items.
Stuff.
Although it wouldn't be long before T Martin was exposed as being one of the owners of the website, prompting the now infamous I'm sorry video. The apology began on fake manipulative footing as T Martin sat there talking to his dog about how difficult the video was going to be.
Cooper, I have no idea how I'm going to record this video, dude.
However, it's hard to tell exactly.
Yeah, so you can pull that off on a live stream because it's live, and so like when weird things happen, you can kind of get away with it. But like you're curating the video and you decide to do that, that's just like 10,000 levels of cringe. Like, what are you doing?
How the video was supposed to be difficult, as T Martin would do nothing besides sit there and spend 2 minutes telling the audience how dumb they were.
My connection to CSGO Lotto has been a matter of public record since the company was first organized in December of 2015. This is and always has been a clearly stated policy.
He barely even apologized. He's putting the blame on the people for not understanding. WTF. He basically called his fans stupid. I love how he didn't even apologize and basically just said it's our fault. It didn't help that T Martin decided to film the apology in the entryway to his mansion with his expensive truck sitting just outside the window. But at least he was smart enough to flaunt his...
he's just got a flex on him, baby. What else are you supposed to do? That's what I would do.
Well, subtly, as the Liver King's terrible apology began with him blatantly bragging about how much money he had.
What?
Prior to the Liver King confession...
What are you talking about? I thought the Liver King's apology was good, by the way. It was pretty honest. You know, I have a little bit, like, I'm not a bodybuilder or anything, but, like, I have a little bit more knowledge of, like, the MISC community and shit. So, when I saw it, I was like, I understand. Like, you know, it's a big thing to, like, use steroids and shit. So I kind of understood it from that perspective. And I understood where he was, like, coming from. So, like, I respected it. Obviously, it's bad to be dishonest, but also, how the fuck could you not tell? Am I right? But, when did he brag about all the money he made?
He'd consistently reiterated that his physique was natural, although when More Plates, More Dates uploaded a video showing that this wasn't true, the Liver King felt the pressure to apologize. The Liver King would begin his apology by bragging about being rich.
Before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous.
Before going on a
I guess I didn't really interpret that as him bragging, but okay.
Try and convince the audience that he never planned on becoming famous.
And I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
Despite having grown the brand using his face, name, and image as the most recognizable feature.
He looks natty. He looks natty.
The Liver King then goes on to claim that his persona was nothing more than an experiment to help struggling teenagers.
Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
And pooping. I watched a thing about Liver King. I thought it was so cool. He talked about how, like, a big part of the reason that he started doing this is because his kids couldn't eat certain foods because they had, like, some kind of an autoimmune issue or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I really respect that. That's why he eats cow testicles. So I was like, damn, me too. I just eat them raw, if you know what I mean. I don't even really, I don't swallow them. I just go, ah.
Men are hurting them both, feeling lost, weak, and submissive.
Which felt like a cliche cop-out to shift the blame from what he was being accused of.
So.
The beginning of the apology was bad, the magnitude of the initial lie was bad, and the need for the apology was almost non-existent in the first place.
I guess it was bad, but again, like, who didn't really know? I mean, there are some people who probably got tricked, and those like are probably younger people, but most people knew this motherfucker was on gear, so.
However, because the Liver King was able to finish the video with a couple of reasonable points, he's avoided being any higher on this list. Besides, it's almost impossible to have an apology worse than the one posted by Social Repose.
Who the fuck is Social Repose?
The video had been uploaded after his ex-girlfriend publicly accused him of cheating, so naturally—
Oh, no. Like, obviously cheating's not good, but like, holy fuck, is that what this is? Cheating? A cheating cancellation?
Social Repose wanted to share his side of the story, doing so in a video titled I'm an Idiot. The apology began with the most unemotional attempt at saying—
Wow, this guy looks like a fucking idiot. Oh, it's the guy that dresses up like an indigenous person and yells on TikTok. Okay.
Sorry.
I understand what I did. I understand that it's pretty wrong, heinous, and
it's not really heinous. It's not good, but it's not heinous. A fucking like an insane act. Like I murdered somebody. That's fucking heinous.
Like I said, I messed up. I do deeply regret it.
Before he'd gone to explain that he had cheated in his previous relationship.
I did cheat on her, just like I did my ex-girlfriend.
And it was therefore the girlfriend's fault for not knowing that he was going to cheat again.
And she kind of took me on with the thought that she could fix me, and that everyone did warn her, and I couldn't stay faithful, and here we are.
Throughout the—
Well, listen, okay, from what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, is that he had a girlfriend named Bingletoad, and then he cheated on her with, I don't know, Bungus. And then is like, oh, I'll commit to you, Bungus. I mean, listen, sis. You didn't think, I mean, he wasn't really blaming it, but it is, if you fucking date, you're dating if you're the girl that he cheated with, he's probably, you know the best that he's going to cheat, right? I'm just saying. I mean, come on, it's fucking common sense, bro. Come on, what the hell are you talking about?
Video, Social Repose seems so proud of how broken he is as a person.
Clearly, I have a lot of deep-seated issues. I have a lot of problems.
Which was justified in his own—
I never smile.
head, as he apparently had this incredible YouTube channel.
I'm so deeply entrenched in Social Repose just as an entity that it comes first. It comes before all my love and relationships and even family to an extent. This is my life. I've chosen it.
However, at least Social Repose made some attempt at saying sorry, as Siena May's apology was so bad that people began to question if she was even saying sorry at all.
Listen, I'm going to double down on this fucking take. I'm going to be real with you. The Siena May situation, frankly, is a classic example of two people who were dating in some capacity, right? Where she violated his boundaries, but she's not a fucking predator, right? She probably could have apologized better for sure, but people are going around acting like this woman is like a violent predator. They were dating in some capacity. Basically what happened is that they were both really drunk. It seemed like he was passed out drunk, and he was like laying on a couch, and she got on top and started kissing him and like touched his penis over his pants. Now, is it appropriate? No. Like, you shouldn't touch somebody when they're sleeping, but like in a relationship, consent usually isn't as explicit. No, you're wrong, Papa. I'm not wrong. I'm a married man. Like, usually, like, my wife doesn't have to ask to kiss me, right? It's still wrong, and it comes down to a lack of education because everybody in that room didn't realize it was wrong. They saved that video for 8 months later and then showed it. So, like, not for nothing, but this was, like, overblown. This whole situation with Siena May was fucking overblown, and I think it has to do with an obsession on social media with rape and sexual assault. Everybody, like, wants to be a victim. Everybody wants to be sexually assaulted. Every other week, we're seeing a new person come out with an allegation about somebody, and it's fucking crazy. Didn't she break into the house naked? No, she didn't break into the house naked, okay? She had the code to the Hype House because, like, they gave her the code, and she did go in there, and then she went to his room. Like, she definitely violated boundaries, but the way that both of them talked about it wasn't honest. He talked about how she jumped and rolled out of a car. Like, these things didn't happen. What happened is they stopped and got out because they were fighting. They were two people in a relationship of some capacity where it seemed like he didn't want to be in the relationship with her, but the Hype House was encouraging it because it would have made them a lot of money. I feel bad for him. I feel like the Hype House is the bigger problem here because they basically forced him to be in a relationship with this girl. Is it ideal or perfect? No, but like, it was overblown. It was fucking overblown. Yeah, it was the Hype House. It was called the Hype House. Like, I'm not, like, that's what it was called. Okay? She needed repercussions. What are you talking about? She got repercussions. What should have happened to a girl in a relationship with a guy who, like, with this situation happened? Stop saying the roles were reversed, though. If the roles were reversed in what? There were two people dating and the guy kissed the girl when she was, like, drunk. They were both drunk and she was passed out. I would be saying the same thing. Stop saying if the roles were reversed, because I'm telling you right now, the people went after her disproportionately because the roles are reversed, and we have an obsession with the roles are reversed. Okay? Like, you guys, like, there's valid criticism against her, but people were so disproportionate, they're calling her a fucking predator. They're calling her a fucking predator. We live in an online narrative where children run it. When you have a 19-year-old getting canceled for sleeping with or sexting a 17-year-old and, like, call me Carson, and that's valid to people, that's how you know that our social sphere is fucked, okay? Siena May got disproportionately hit. Did she deserve backlash? Yes. She's a immature person who, like, pushed past boundaries. But is she a fucking predator? No. She's kind of a cunt. Sorry. Sorry, that was a little mean. That's it. Wasn't a fake relationship. That's the problem with it, is that, like, it was a weird relationship. It was like an on again, off again. Part of it was for attention. Part of it was, like, real. She actually wanted to date him. It seemed like he didn't want to date her, but he said he would date her because the Hype House wanted him to date her because it would make money, and they wanted to show. It's a complicated relationship. Okay, but she thought it was, like, a real thing, and there were areas where, like, he would reciprocate. He would, like, kiss her back sometimes he wouldn't. I feel bad. She's not a predator. You're an unironic fucking idiot if you think that she's a predator. Like, I feel bad for him because from his perspective, it seems like he was pushed into this atmosphere where, like, he likes her and the Hype House wants that to happen as well, and she's, like, has popularity, so the Hype House is like, you should date her for the popularity, and he was, like, pushed to do something that he didn't want to do, and I think the Hype House needs to take more blame for this situation. Because, like, you have young people and they're trying to push this, like, real thing, and she was pretty open about her boundary of, like, oh, I don't want to do, like, a fake relationship. I want to really be with you, and it was a whole fucking thing. Okay, I don't think he's a predator, but he's definitely a piece of shit for kissing him when he's out. I disagree, honestly. The kissing isn't even the problem. The bigger problem is, like, how she would, like, go into his house when she was sleeping and she would be, like, an obnoxious bitch. Frankly, like, the kissing while you're sleeping, that shit's, like, that's not a huge deal in a relationship. Like, this is the problem. Like, you're not a huge piece of shit for kissing somebody that you're in a relationship with when they're sleeping. It's, like, normal. Was it inappropriate? Sure. But, like, to act like this was, like, the biggest thing, like, in a normal relationship, like, that would be somewhat normal. It's all the other stuff that surrounds it, like the pressure for him to be with her, especially from the Hype House and all this other shit. Because think about this. Nobody in the room stopped it. And they said it happened multiple times. So why do you think that her own brother sitting there looking at it, he records it, he releases it 8 months later because they don't even realize what's happening is wrong? That's the problem, is because we don't talk about consent properly with children and young people. So they all, like, seeing a thing happening, they don't think that anything is necessarily wrong. Jack probably doesn't even think that he can really speak up for himself or advocate against himself, because he probably think that he's fucking gay if he does, because society tells men that they need to like this stuff, and it comes down to, like, a certain level of, like, societal conditions that come into play. That's just what it comes down to. Nobody in the room is educated on, like, why that this shouldn't be happening. So nobody stopped it. Nobody did. So, like, we're talking about, like, huge ignorance. Siena May is not a fucking sexual predator, is my point. You thought they recorded for proof? No, they just recorded it on a Snap story. They didn't record anything for proof. They released it 8 months later. 8 months. But people jumped on this.
Super chatted $10. Hey Papa, sorry for interrupt. Can you
no problem, brother.
To wavy web surfy girl?
Maybe. Listen, all I'm saying is that I don't think that what she did was right, but I don't think that what she did was intentionally bad. And people jumped at it as if she was, like, she's this intentionally bad person that was trying to harm somebody. When the reality is that they were in, like, a complicated relationship. And they were all young, and none of them understood proper boundaries. So, Now, you stand by that she's not a predator, she's a piece of shit. Her being kind of a shitty person is completely irrelevant to the situation because she is kind of an asshole. She seems like a stuck-up, arrogant fucking dickhead that thinks that her shit doesn't stink. And the way that she's interacted before this whole scandal, she was kind of an asshole. I think that's why people went after her so hard, decided that she was like a fucking predator, even though she's not. It's because she's a mean person. Like, she thinks her shit doesn't stink. That's fine, though. But we have to understand that we live in a fucking society, online society, where everybody wants to be a victim. Everybody is a victim. Everything is grooming. Everything is sexual assault. Nobody is nuanced anymore. We have an obsessed with like fucking true crime dramas. I'm not even kidding. I know this sounds insane, but this is the lens we look at this shit through, where like we can't, like, nobody gets, it's fucking insane. It's crazy. And we have the wrong conversation online, and it's because children dictate the narrative, and then dumb fucking adults push into the narrative and say, yeah, these kids are right. But like, because they look at like an empty profile picture and go like, that person is equal to me. No, okay, if you're a kid, you don't understand things as well. That doesn't mean that you're always wrong, but there's something to be said about 15-year-olds running the social narrative on like what isn't generally acceptable. And when you see drastic cases like a 19-year-old getting canceled for sexting with a 17-year-old, you know that the atmosphere we exist in is fucked. This is part of that atmosphere. Do I think that she did a bad thing? Absolutely. Do I think that she's a predator? Absolutely not. You're an idiot. Okay? It's crazy. Like, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, her dancing apology was fucking bizarre. Absolutely. But from her perspective, too, she got canceled for being a fucking rapist when she's not. And so, like, you can't, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt there. It was cringe and stupid. But it's fucking nuts. And people went fucking ballistic. And I just think it's dumb as shit. Play the video!
Siena May was one of TikTok's fastest growing creators until another TikToker accused her of assault, after which she'd take a break from the internet and return with what we're calling the second worst apology in YouTube history. It began with the explanation that taking a month off social media was the most difficult month of Siena's life, before she'd go on to state—
that'd probably be the best month. Like, take a break from social media, even if you're not popular, okay?
Say that her purpose in life was to post TikTok dances and untouched photos of herself.
Wow.
Throughout the video, Siena implied that her youth excused her from any wrongdoing,
I did nothing wrong. I'm young. Most sincere apology of all time, I guess.
Although the worst part was—
but again, the problem is nobody gave her an accurate representation of what she did wrong. So how is she going to properly apologize? You know, you can't expect her to properly apologize if nobody gave her a proper prescription of what she did wrong.
that she never even apologized and rather spent more than half of the video playing what she called a relatable Sam Smith song while doing a choreographed dance with the goal of inspiring her audience. The stupidity of the apology is best summarized by this comment reading, "The fact that she and her team watched this and said, yeah, this is a good idea is hilarious to me. All of them together make one brain cell."
That's
Although
fair.
Siena's one brain cell was still significantly more than the amount that Laura Lee had when she'd post almost objectively the worst apology in YouTube history. Laura Lee posted the apology in response to some old tweets, although she would have been significantly better off remaining silent, as there was nothing within this video that wasn't a complete travesty.
Did she have an epic Mario judo moment? Hey, it is what it is, brother.
She'd spend the first 30 seconds talking about nothing besides how difficult the video was going to be.
In this video, it's been so hard. So much positive.
What happened? What'd she do? I'm sorry, I cry. I laugh a little bit when people cry. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable and weird.
Before going on to completely lose it on camera, while implementing all the classic phrases such as, "I'm so sorry to disappoint you all, and I know that I'm better than that." Laura Lee cried and apologized, then cried and apologized some more, although in the process, the audience noticed that there were no tears coming out of her eyes.
It looks like there are. I don't know, maybe I'm just wrong.
Phrases such as, "I'm so sorry," before going on to completely that I'm better, just that there were no tears coming out of her eyes. Is this an audition? I see no tears. Literally no tears coming from her eyes, yet she keeps wiping away. I think she forgot to buy the eye drops. After everybody came to realize that Laura Lee wasn't even crying, she'd take a month off YouTube to reflect, after which she'd return with an apology video for her initial apology.
What did she do wrong?
Where she'd conclude the drama with more NPC YouTube apology dialogue.
I have changed so much as a human being. I have grown so much through the situation.
What'd she say, like the N-word or something? Like, what is it that happened?
Talking silent, and posted the apology in response to some old—
oh, racist tweets, whatever, dude. Like, fucking hot take, guys. White people have been racist in the past because it was more acceptable, unfortunately.
Include the drama with more NPC YouTube apology dialogue.
I have changed so much as a human being. I have grown so much through the situation. I have grown and I have learned so much.
We're gonna me after my chat logs from Dota 2 are released. I wasn't just racist, I was sexist too.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.